Okay, hello, everyone. This is Dr. Garrett Smith, also known as the Nutrition Detective around these here YouTube parts, and we are here with Love Your Liver live stream. Finally, we're live streaming again. We're not pre-recorded. We are live streaming again. I'm in Idaho, so we don't have the bandwidth to do a video here, so we just do audio, and we usually do subscriber Q&As when we're up here. Now, to give you guys time to filter in, I'm going to go and read some testimonials first because we got a lot of them since we did those talks, the three-part series on the toxic bile paradigm basics and updates and all that. We've gotten lots of cool testimonials, so I am going to be reading from these. So here we go. Joe, you got it. Let's see. We got it. You're going to share that screen. There we go. So for those of you who haven't been here before, these testimonials we find them typically on the Love Your Liver program, which is a private network. It's a social network as it was meant to be, where people have the same general goals, and we tolerate zero people who are there to purposely cause problems and troll. So it's really a very nice place. I liken it to a country club instead of a public park. So if you're interested in that, it's definitely a useful place to be where people are in the same goal. But what I do is I don't put any, because of medical privacy and just general internet privacy, you can find these testimonials in the Love Your Liver program if you're a member. Otherwise, I don't do any identifying information on them. So here we go. First one, wanted to share our family's testimonial. We are coming up to 2 years of the Love Your Liver lifestyle journey on March 1st, 2026. There is so much better that it is hard to list it all. One thing is for sure, it has given us a huge sense of empowerment, taking charge of our health. We feel like we have won the lotto with our health. And while we're here on this note, I do want to mention, when we have people tell us that they've had tons of improvements, I just want to remind people who are new here that we do not have protocols for various conditions and issues like everybody else does. We fix the system. The system fixes the little problems. This is when you are truly getting down to the root cause of things. When you are getting rid of root causes, multiple things get better that you never would have known are connected, and that conventional medicine and even mainstream alternative medicine would never tell you are connected, because they just try to protocol it into submission by stopping your detox and then seeing a symptom get better while eventually other symptoms show up, if not side effects show up. So let's go. My husband, 51 years old, an under type and a sensitive type. So this means under type means generally on the underweight side. And generally on certain labs, they can be lower as a pattern. Sensitive type means that they're generally very sensitive to supplements, medications, scents, fragrances, the sun. They're just sensitive, in that it's generally sensitive. Obviously, sensitive people are going to be sensitive to different things. So here we go. Keratosis pilaris, 98% gone. Softer skin. Improved granuloma annulare rash. So that's all skin stuff. Earwax seems gone for both of us. Improved immune system. Improved larger appetite. That's important for undertypes. Morning upset stomach and difficulty eating gone. Less anxiety. Better mental health. More energy. Muscle spasms are gone. Pretty impressive list, right? I believe that was that was a gentleman. And then we have his wife. We have me, 45 years old, hypothyroid, medicated for 12 years. Completely off all thyroid medications now. Brain fog gone. Wintertime allergies gone. Can breathe at night with no stuffiness. Skin is clear all the time now. No need for makeup anymore. Last year's springtime allergies were manageable with only homeopathics. Breast pain gone. Menstrual cramps gone. Easy bruising is gone. Stomach issues, indigestion, gluten intolerance, all way better. Globus sensation is gone. Okay, so hold on one sec. I got to sneeze. So globus sensation is what they used to call, in Chinese medicine, they call it, I believe they call it plum pit syndrome. And what that is you feel like there's something stuck in your throat, especially when you swallow. So yeah, you can look that up if you want. It often goes with thyroid problems. So we got rid of all of that. Tonsil stones are gone. Old knee injury is pain-free. Next month it will be a year since it has tried to dislocate. Car sickness is better. Can watch out the side window to look at mountains. SI joint issues are gone. Sacroiliac is what that means. So that's like your lower, down where your sacrum meets your pelvis. That's a lot of people go to the chiropractor often for adjustments, and the chiropractor will say your SI joint is out every time. And as people do our program, a very lesser known symptom of vitamin A toxicity, which is actually well known as an Accutane side effect or an Accutane toxicity symptom, which is vitamin A, is sacroiliac problems. So sacroiliac joint issues are gone. If I get pain, I'm pushing detox too hard. So she has learned her system well. More energy without caffeine. Overall happier and calmer. I'm also feeling that this has helped PTSD as well. We have another gentleman who was ex-military who we have a PTSD testimonial to as well. And there is research connecting PTSD to a so-called type of retinoid receptor genetic connection. So vitamin A toxicity, I'm not saying vitamin A toxicity can cause PTSD. I am saying vitamin A toxicity in the right person can worsen it. Okay, just like magnesium deficiency doesn't, cramps may or may not be magnesium deficiency, but let's say magnesium deficiency or potassium deficiency would worsen the cramp situation. So it's an aggravating factor. So again, I want to hit on some of the really important things in here. We help people. We don't put people on thyroid meds. We don't assume a thyroid is broken forever. We help people get off thyroid meds. This is different than everybody else out there. Okay, this is the skin stuff that you see here, the thyroid stuff you see here, the allergies, the stuff associated with women's, reproductive system, breast pain, menstrual cramps, that stuff. Tonsil stones, that's a calcification problem. We fix calcification problems. Her knee is not dislocating anymore. I mean, just think of what we're doing to basically tighten up her tendons and ligaments. We help fix hypermobility. In fact, Kelsey used to have hypermobility. She had a positive on multiple of those hypermobility tests, the Ehlers-Danlos syndrome tests, where you try to bend certain joints to see if they're hypermobile. She used to have those as positives, which means she had the bad sign, and now she doesn't. And now this person is saying their knee used to dislocate a lot. It's now been a year since it's done that. We've tightened up her knee by detox and nutrient restoration. Okay? So let's keep going. I'm working on copper toxicity. I've done stupid protocols in the past which guarantee copper toxicity, haven't we all? Hoping to dissolve some small fibroids and sort out periods yet. MSG has enabled me to take some zinc now, but not much molybdenum. I have to take crazy amounts of potassium chloride, which is why it took so long to get off thyroid meds, as I was a little nervous to go so high, but it has worked so far. Can't go without it or would have to go back to thyroid meds. So I'm going to connect this for you folks. Hypothyroid states are often associated with high hair calcium on the hair test and low hair potassium on the hair test. That is called a high calcium to potassium ratio, and it tends to show up in people in hypothyroid or low thyroid function symptoms. Also, copper toxicity depletes potassium drastically. So does she mention caffeine before. Caffeine depletes potassium. Low potassium really negatively affects your thyroid. You may want to watch my potassium live stream. Joe, if you can find that one for them. I go over all sorts of stuff about potassium. Potassium is the quickest way for most people to feel better. Now, I believe this woman will eventually find that she doesn't need so much potassium as she gets less toxic, as we get more of the calcium out of her and we get more of the copper out of her, and she continues to reduce her caffeine usage and other things that negatively affect potassium, things should just continue to get better and she should need less. We use muscle testing. I grew up doing that. Now we are so stable, it's a little harder to tell, but it has been a really useful tool for us, especially when we weren't as strong. For people who know how to do muscle testing or biofeedback, it can be very, very helpful. However, some people can corrupt that. I'm not saying they're doing it, but people can corrupt the test by what they really think they should be doing and not by asking the question neutrally. I may talk about that sometime in the future. My mom and dad started a little bit before us just by binge watching Dr. Smith's live streams. My mom has been able to cut her thyroid meds way down as well, and Dr. Smith has shared my dad's reversal of stage 4 kidney failure earlier this summer. He continues to do well. Our family doctor is still flabbergasted about my dad. Just wait till he finds out I'm not on any thyroid meds and I'm doing so well. He has seen me try to get rid of meds in the past. It didn't go so well back then. So see, we're helping men, we're helping women, these are all, one of the things I like to point out is this is a multi-year testimonial. This is 2 years, and in people who are in their 40s and older. When you can help people who are in their 40s and older, and this is multiple years in, this is not the honeymoon testimonial of a week in or a month in. What we're doing is working. That's really, I don't know how anybody could argue that. Oh, I did want to say something about space weather. Let me add this. The space weather in the last couple days has been particularly nasty. There's been X flares. There's been KP 5, 6, 7, even 8. There's been auroras going on up here in Idaho. We can see them. So if you've had trouble sleeping in the last couple days, or you've been feeling somewhat uneasy or anxious or depressed or tired or stiff, or trying to think of what, I'm very stuffy today. That's one of my real big space weather symptoms. So I'm a little stuffy, and you heard me sneeze earlier. If there's interesting stuff happening to you that doesn't make sense in like the last 2 or 3 days, and you don't pay attention to the space weather, that's what it most likely has been. So don't think you did anything wrong. This does pass, but it's supposed to hit 8 today. It's already hit 7 at least, in terms of the KP, which is pretty strong geomagnetic storm. So just keep that in mind. Anyway, and as she said here, her mom and dad started a little bit before us just by binge watching Dr. Smith's live streams. So for those people who think I don't help people for free, we have helped many, many people by them simply putting the time in, investing so you're either going to invest time or money, right? If you want to spend less time, you're generally going to have to spend more money. If you're willing to spend the time, you can spend less money. So they watched the live streams and they got all this useful information that helped her mom to cut her thyroid meds way down and her dad's reversal of stage 4 kidney failure. So it's always interesting what the haters will say, and boy, are they bitter. They do like their calcium supplements too. What is a coincidence? Super grateful for all of Dr. Smith's free info and live streams as he puts out as we did first 10 months of learning from his YouTubes. Love this program and community to come learn from. It gave me more answers and tools to fine tune and problem solve for our family when I finally joined last Christmas. So yes, folks, you can do it on your own, and the help you can get from others doing it in the Love Your Liver program without trolls around is a lot. I have also been able to pay it forward to others who have been struggling by pointing them in the right direction. Love seeing people who put the work into taking charge of their health. A client who I just saw again today for her haircut has healed up eczema from starting to follow the Love Your Liver diet 3 months ago. Inside her ears is now all clear of crusty eczema and bleeding. Oh, and her blood pressure has also come down to normal, and she has lost a few pounds. She is so excited. Imagine being able to help people by giving them some basics. Healing up eczema, blood pressure coming down, losing a few pounds, all from some basic help from a friend or loved one or even client, customer relationship. So pretty exciting. Let's get into the MSG testimonial number 2. So I've been taking MSG since soon after the Love Your Liver live stream, introducing it a few months ago, and within weeks of adding it to food to taste, MSG enabled me to halve my meat intake. I have gone from eating 1 kilogram of beef, that's 2.2 pounds, and or chicken breast a day. Sometimes it was even 1.5 kilograms, to a consistent 0.5 kilogram. That's about a pound of meat a day, 1.1 pounds. After I noticed that I was turned off of excess meat in my meals. It is now clear to me that I've been using meat as a source of glutamate. MSG has enabled me to source that glutamate without the burden of what else the body doesn't need and isn't asking for. Hail MSG. Folks, if you haven't seen the MSG live stream, there's actually 2 of them. One is the main one, and then the other one is a Q&A on it. MSG is basically a amino acid supplement, is the cheapest and most effective amino acid supplement out there. I mean, think about, you can buy a pound of MSG for like, I don't know, $5 or $6 these days. And imagine how much meat is. And think of how, a lot of us tend to wonder, back in the past, I used to wonder how Asian cultures especially could seem to do so well on so little meat. Well, one of the things they've always been doing is they have never given up their MSG. They love their MSG. MSG takes any protein you eat and makes it more effective. It makes it taste better, and it makes all the protein you eat work better. So, and if you need to start with MSG with 1 crystal of it, like literally 1 crystal of it in your food, to get started and be able to work up, then start with that. But MSG is not the boogeyman that we were taught. I think the bad guys just knew that Asians would never give up their MSG, so they never went after them. And I go over why that is, why I think that is on the video about the Asian connection between glutamate and ALDH, a genetic connection. And then Americans are just so easily duped that we'll happily eat things that have glutamate in them, like food additives with junk foods, but having people think MSG is healthy and adding it to healthy foods, well, that would make people too healthy. Wait until you see the cat testimonial to MSG here. Okay, testimonial 3. This leads to my zeolite testimonial. Notice that's zeolite with a Y. That's our zeolite. Folks, the mainstream alternative people who are going against zeolite so hard, zeolite is a minor thing in the supplement industry, an extremely minor thing in the supplement industry. You have to wonder why they're going after it so hard, unless they might be sponsored or influenced by controllers who are really not wanting you to know about something that might work against what they have planned for you. That's just a thought. Kind of like the magnesium nonsense from Medicine Girl, where she claims that it's doing all these bad things. I saw an anti-zeolite article the other day, and the guy said it's connected to all these things. And then he said, well, yeah, it's got a lot of great research on it, as in it helps people. And he never listed any of the problems it caused, because there's really none in the research. So it's real when you read these articles that are bad mouthing, especially things that we do, that we're getting people off of thyroid meds and out of stage for kidney failure and doing all these amazing things, and we're using these tools, and then you have these people on Substack and YouTube who are bad mouthing things without actually showing evidence that it's bad for you. They show no evidence. It's really like, it's striking. You must look at what they present and then say, okay, you're making all these claims that, okay, the pharmaceutical industry uses zeolite. Okay, they use it to clean things. They literally use it to detox things. Oh, so zeolite detoxes things that the pharmaceutical industry uses. Okay, they also use activated charcoal to detox things, to take toxins out of something else. The pharmaceutical industry also uses water, So if anything, the pharmaceutical, they use baking soda, they use salt, they use all sorts of things because it's literally chemistry that they're doing. So people trying to say that because the pharmaceutical industry uses something that it's therefore bad by association, that is the worst, weakest, saddest type of logic that they could use. So if you want to believe them, go ahead. Go ahead. You don't have to get the results that we get. You can believe them and go to their Substack and ask them to help you get all these amazing results. You're welcome to do that. First, you have to wonder why they're going after it and who is sponsoring them to spend all their day researching to write something bad about a supplement when they're getting like dollars a day from their Substack. How are they living? What is paying their bills? Who is paying their bills? Those are questions you might want to ask. Over Thanksgiving break and also in the past 2 days, my son had 2 body temperature spikes. Okay, so like a fever, right? Or a flush, if you want to call it that. I was strongly advised by family to treat the fever with Tylenol, but decided to give him a scoop of zeolite at the start of the fever and another scoop about 4 hours later. The temperature lasted less than 24 hours and dissipated completely. Everyone was betting on this lasting at least 3 days. Next instance was 2 days ago when he again had a low-grade fever. I repeated the same zeolite dose, and again, temperature was gone within 24 hours. His chronic eczema has also completely resolved with what I think is a combination of zinc, sunfiber, and zeolite. I strongly suspect zeolite and then zinc, as we had been using sunfiber much longer with no improvements in that eczema. Okay, folks. See, we'll present research on zeolite, and we'll present testimonials and anecdotes to it helping, and they present, oh, it's got great research, but we're going to say it's bad by association. This is what we do. We are out here actually fixing people. And here's my thought on the plan, the bad guys' plan. They're paying people in the mainstream alternative world to say all these supplements are bad. And most supplements are bad. Don't get me wrong. 99% of supplements are garbage. You guys know I've said this a very long time, and I said this all over the Medicine Girl episode. 99% of supplements are bad for you. They're literally bad for you. There's very, if you think of a lot of the what we carry, we do have a lot of different products, but like think of how many zinc products we have. We have multiple zinc picolinate capsules. We have a zinc picolinate liquid, and then we have zinc in the keystone minerals. And same thing with like selenium. We have a selenium capsule, and then we have selenium in the keystone minerals. And then we have molybdenum capsules, and then we have molybdenum in the keystone minerals. So even though those are all different supplements, they're all interrelated as the same types of things. So are the things that we use, our list of supplements that we use is actually relatively limited for a good reason, because most supplements are not good for you. Zeolite is one of the ones that is good for you, or it wouldn't look so great in all the research. Okay? Now, let me tell you, with these temperature spikes, these fevers, or whatever you want to call them that this child had, probably a bile dump. Bile dumps are known to cause fevers. This was studied in dogs. They injected bile into the blood of dogs back in 1905 and 1906, and they saw them get fevers. So when you are sick, folks, if you are quote unquote sick with a cold or a flu or whatever you want to call it, a bile dump, be careful of any of the supplements we talk about that could potentially accelerate bile dumping. Focus on the things that are binders, especially the non-soluble fiber binders, like zeolite and activated charcoal. Focus on those, because those bind up the bile and help you. So they bind it up while it's in your system so it doesn't recirculate, and then eventually you poop it out. That's what it does. That is toxic bile paradigm in a nutshell. In terms of how we help like a fever like this go away in less than 24 hours one time, and then it does it again. And then we're seeing the eczema resolve. Imagine people trying to say that we're doing something bad. That's wild. Okay, dog MSG testimonial. Sorry, it was a dog testimonial, not a cat. I think we have another cat one, though. Profound dog MSG testimonial. My pug Ruby is 5.5 years old. From the time she turned 6 months old, she would scratch her ears until they were bloodied. This, of course, required us to have her in a cone. Ruby has been in a cone for 5 years straight, only removing it to eat and bathe. That's sad. Poor little doggy. Over time, she began to become itchy under her arms and legs and belly. She would grind her head on anything and everything to itch the itch that would not stop. Right, and then what do the vets do? They go put them on an allergy food, like an allergy-safe food or whatever. I want you guys to pay attention to this part. She is unvaccinated, intact, and never had a pharma medicine. I tried alternative vets, homeopathic remedies, changed her diet numerous times, gave her herbs, and even hired animal psychics. Needless to say, it was difficult at times. I began to accept that this was just going to be our life. For those of you out there who are thinking that everybody's sickness right now has to be the jabs, it has to be medications, it has to be, surgeries. No, it absolutely doesn't. It absolutely does not. Everything is not the long coof from the shot. Every child that has special needs does not mean they got the shot or the mom got the shot. It is toxicity as a broad term. Of course, jabs bring in toxicity all at once, and it bypasses all the defenses. Yeah, so they're going to be extra bad. Can these problems happen from toxicity coming from other avenues? Absolutely. Look, think of this dog. Okay? The dog's not mentally creating this itching and skin problem. It's not a placebo effect in dogs. So when we get to when the dog gets better, the dog didn't have any preconceived notions about MSG. The dog had this condition and it had a problem. So hold on. Yeah, Joe, you can show the jab ingredient. I did a video on a potentially undisclosed ingredient in some of the pokies as in a theory. It was a theoretical video. Okay, so let's go. After I began the LYL program, I started all of my dogs on it as well. It made sense that Ruby had a liver injury given the diets she had been on at the request of different holistic practitioners. What they always give them pumpkin. Oh my goodness. Ruby had been full LYL for a year as of November 2025. However, the cone remained as she would not stop scratching the itchiness. The scratching also led to extreme shedding and hair loss. She was always inflamed. In July of 2025, she had such a toxic bile dump that it caused a vestibular attack where her eyes moved side to side for days. It's like nystagmus, but it just kept happening. Her head tilted to the side and remained there for months. Thus, I hired an animal chiropractor to assist with her recovery. It was a slow road. Her head remained at a very steep tilt. 10 days ago, I started to getting serious with giving her MSG. I had sprinkled it here and there, but nothing consistent. I began putting MSG on her muscle meat each time she ate, 2 times a day. Within 10 days, she began sleeping without the cone and not wearing it during the day. She stopped excessively shedding. She is relaxed. Her head tilt is finally straightening. Her fur is beginning to grow in the bare areas. To say I was shocked is an understatement. As I write this, Ruby is cone-free and calm. I can't believe what MSG did for her in such a short amount of time. Thank you for putting this important amino acid on our radar. I know LYL is for humans, but I am so grateful for how it has helped Ruby. I would imagine Ruby is grateful as well. Okay, folks, like what can somebody out there, can one of the glutamate haters explain what happened to this dog getting much more MSG, sleeping better, not itching when she was sleeping, not having to wear the cone because all the itching and pain was stopping for the dog. The shedding stopped. Her anxiety decreased. The head tilt is finally straightening. So the chiropractor couldn't fix it. MSG did. She's growing fur in the bare areas. What is glutamate helping? It's helping the dog's liver. Remember, high liver enzymes, as we went over in the MSG video, when you have high ALT or AST, or the other terms for them are SGOT, SGOT, or SGPT. You can't really say that one. SGOT or SGPT. Those liver enzymes and so does GGT. Those three liver enzymes, those are the main liver enzymes. They all make glutamate. That's what they do. Look it up. We're giving the body glutamate, which means then that the liver can put less of its energy into having to make glutamate out of your other proteins, other amino acids. And then your liver can use that energy towards healing. This is what we do in the Love Your Liver program. We think about what does the liver need and how can we relieve stress on the liver. And by doing that, the liver can then go and fix all these things that you've been hearing in these testimonials. Let's keep going. Oh, someone wrote this to Beth Martins and she shared it with me, just as an example of toxic bile paradigm and the things that I say. So apologies for the late reply. I've been traveling a lot recently and have been doing all sorts of things. Yes, I've also bought a Brown's gas machine and have used it for quite some time, only to realize my health actually worsened. Let me stop here. Brown's gas machine makes molecular hydrogen. Some of you may have heard about molecular hydrogen as a supplement or the Brown's gas machines. I'm going to give you the quick explanation of molecular hydrogen in the way that I understand it and in the way that I apply it to the Love Your Liver program. Now, some total chemistry nerds may say that I'm missing some things here and there, or they may try to say that I'm wrong. However, what we have here is a gentleman whose health got worse taking molecular hydrogen. There are people out there who will say there's like 5,000 studies showing molecular hydrogen, or 500 or 5,000 showing that molecular hydrogen is an amazing thing. It is claimed that molecular hydrogen is the strongest, pay attention, antioxidant out there. Molecular hydrogen, as in one hydrogen floating around, is the strongest antioxidant out there. Okay, what do we here know that antioxidants tend to do in the body? Antioxidants they counter oxidation or oxidative processes. Your main detox pathways are oxidative. So therefore, molecular hydrogen long-term will slow your detox in general and cause you to feel worse long-term. Are most studies long-term? No, they're not. Could somebody taking antioxidants short-term feel better by slowing detox? And maybe they were in a high oxidative state and they relieved some of that. But then they will call it, that's totally possible. Do people feel better on high doses of antioxidants short-term? Sometimes they do. Does it last? No, it does not. And nearly all of us know this, who went into the food antioxidants and the supplement antioxidant craze of the failed antioxidant theory of health. Okay, so let's go into this just a little deeper. Two of the most important detox pathways, enzymes that we talk about here in the Love Your Liver program are alcohol dehydrogenase and aldehyde dehydrogenase. Let's look at that last word real quick. D means DE, means to take away. Hydrogen, a hydrogen. ACE, ASE, an enzyme, that's what that means. So we have an enzyme that takes away hydrogens. So the very name of the detox enzyme, of being alcohol dehydrogenase and aldehyde dehydrogenase. It tells you what it does. So do you think adding hydrogens to the system is going to help the dehydrogenases to have more work or less work of removing hydrogens from things? Now, like I said, chemistry nerds may try to go against what I'm saying here, and all I'm saying is that long-term excessive antioxidants from outside the body will slow down detox and make people feel worse. So we have this gentleman who just said his health actually worsened from doing the Brown's gas machine. After discovering Dr. Garrett Smith and applying most of the principles he recommends alongside dietary changes in certain supplements, Keystone Minerals, lactoferrin, niacin, binders, magnesium lotion daily, I have experienced immense changes in my overall health, vitality, energy, and mental clarity. Feel worlds better, so much so now that I'm a firm believer of the toxic bile paradigm, and he put it in asterisks, which I appreciate, and have stopped taking many unnecessary supplements that just slow down detox and push the can down the road, as you mentioned. Guess I'll only use this machine for deuterium depleted water later on when George releases that attachment. Either way, I really appreciate your reply, and it feels good to have additional confirmation in regards to what I have already intuitively felt and later on confirmed through further research and, most importantly, self-experimentation, as nowadays I see way too many people subscribe to one ideology and never look further. Now, I'm just going to say this about the deuterium depleted water part. Some of us out there, many of us out, multiple of us out there, Kelsey included, myself included, we tried the deuterium depleted water, the super expensive water that you can order from companies, or you can try to make it yourself by doing all sorts of crazy freezing. And I don't even know the whole process. I was never going to do it. So many of us spent quite a bit of money on deuterium depleted water and didn't feel any different. This is another one of those Jack Cruz nonsense things, I think. I don't think it does anything. That's what I think. That's what I felt. That's what Kelsey felt. That's probably what multiple of you who are in the comments may want to testify to. If that's what happened for you, let us know, because I don't hear anybody ever going, oh, I switched to all this deuterium depleted water and all my health issues went away. You don't see lists of improvements on deuterium depleted water sites like we have in our testimonials. So take that for what it's worth. It might not be bad for you. Actually, I did a podcast recently on magnetized water, and I installed the fractalwater.com water magnetizer, and it spins the water too. And I can tell you that water is different than what used to come out of my tap. So I have my all the water in the house goes through this thing now. And the water feels silkier and smoother. And I can tell you that the water, if one was to drink the water out of the tap or out of the fridge filter, which is not a good filter, my brother has done it several times, and I tried it too. Out of the fridge filter, we normally use RO, but RO, it tastes the same, right? But out of the fridge filter, just running it through this magnetizer, this water magnetizer, it tastes so much better. And they say that the water magnetizer helps to decalcify the system. Funny thing that we're working on decalcifying the system, and a water magnetizer is also working on decalcifying the system. And if you look up the research on magnetized water, it's insane how many things it helps. So if you all are interested in that, you can pursue it. I'll be posting the podcast in the. I didn't have mine installed when I did the podcast with the Fractal Water folks, but I'll post that podcast in the Love Your Liver program, maybe down in the pinned comment below here afterwards, and then you guys can check it out. And I will tell you that I've liked having it since I got it. Anyway, okay, moving on. Oh, Joe, I'm gonna have to switch. So these were on. I posted these on Twitter. Let's see. Okay, so this was a reply on Livestream 232. You can go see it there if you want. I had a lifetime of migraines disappear after just months of low vitamin A. I'll never get tired of letting people know this. They were absolutely crippling all my life and simply disappeared. Gosh, who else talks about like getting rid of migraines in a couple months permanently? Gosh, I wonder, was it the copper toxicity or the vitamin A toxicity that was doing it? We don't know. Could be both, could be either. We fix them. So then let's go to the next one. Okay, come on, internet. Like I said, imagine the internet's running this slow here, and there's no way I could do video. Okay. Gang 13. He's been a big fan recently. Fortunately, one of my family members was really easy to convince because after 6 years of going to dozens of doctors, even the diagnostics group of one of the supposed best hospitals in my city to try to fix her itching when taking a shower or going for a swim, I significantly reduced her itchiness just by giving her charcoal, a binder, with magnesium citrate to help her poop once I understood your toxic bile paradigm. It's going to be hard to get her to avoid nightshades, but it's probably going to happen. So again, our free help over the internet, over YouTube, is helping to fix things that multiple doctors couldn't fix. So that's the testimonials part. So now I'm going to look at I haven't looked at the chat at all yet, so I'm going to look at the chat. And I'll catch up. So Krill said, "Hey, what's up, Doc? Hello, what's up, man? Good to have you here. We're live." Oh, so Cassidy said, "How long after having a baby would you recommend waiting to have a consult?" Oh, just a reminder, folks, if you want your question to get like highest priority, if you do a super chat, then your question goes to the top of the list, just so you know. I don't really, okay, so Cassidy, I don't really have a period of time after having a baby because the baby's out, you know, but what I mean by that is I do recommend that women do 6 months of love your liver stuff before they get pregnant. So in terms of Kelsey did a consult the other day with a woman who is currently pregnant. Now, those of you who understand like copper toxicity numbers, I generally want blood copper, serum copper below, thanks, Joe. I see that one. I generally want serum copper below a 90. Okay. That's where I want to see serum copper, which we call blood copper. Okay. I've told many people this. During pregnancy, copper levels go through the roof. Vitamin A levels in the blood go through the roof. This is demonstrating basically toxic bile leaking into the blood. And now it is said in the research that what they call subclinical cholestasis is now considered normal in pregnancy. So they're saying it's normal in pregnancy these days for women to be leaking bile into their blood. And I see it on blood tests, especially with blood copper and blood vitamin A. So anyway, what I was getting at was Kelsey saw a woman the other day. She's pregnant. Her blood copper was 190. Okay. Those of you who have been around and done consults with us, 190 on copper is outrageous. And you ladies who have felt like hot garbage in your pregnancies, that elevated copper that you likely had was a huge part of the cause of it, of the root cause of why you felt terrible during pregnancy. So, 190 on copper. So that's one reason why, we do like I like for women to do 6 months of the Love Your Liver program before they get pregnant, so that in theory, their biggest detox cycles would happen earlier on rather than later. So it's just me being extra cautious with other people's, children or children to be. I don't, we know vitamin A, there's only one vitamin you're supposed to really watch out for during pregnancy. And that's vitamin A. The funny thing is vitamin A is an alcohol. And what's the other alcohol you're supposed to avoid during pregnancy? Oh, I don't know, ethanol alcohol. So 2 alcohols that you're supposed to minimize during pregnancy. What a coincidence that they go through the same detox pathway, right? So I would just say, how long after having a baby? I would kind of wait maybe until you got, a little bit back to, at least until you got comfortable with like nursing, and just until you got back to whatever you think like normal is going to be now that you have a new baby. And when you have new babies, we all know, all of us parents know that when you have a new baby, there is no normal. But what I just mean is when things settle down a bit, after the birth and adjusting to the new baby. And of course, your sleep is going to most likely suck, because that's, sleep schedules with a new baby suck. It's just the nature of the beast. But we do see low vitamin A babies tend to sleep a lot better. They do sleep a lot better. But yeah, so just until things calm down. And then for ladies, if you want to get pregnant, like I said, we do make people dangerously fertile. That's the joke, but it's true. We suggest doing Love Your Liver for 6 months where you're not trying to get pregnant before you try to get pregnant. And then when you try to get pregnant, you're probably going to get pregnant really quick, because that's what we've seen. Okay. Let me see we have the question from, Mava16. Sorry, I missed this earlier. Hi, Dr. Smith. What can be toxic about consuming deer brain? Is it even safe? I have a friend that eats it for the omega-3s. Thank you. Oh man. What could be toxic about eating deer brain? I mean, you don't want to get brain parasites, do you? No, I'm sorry. Sorry. I'm just okay. The brain is fatty, right? Everybody talks about brains being fatty. Where do we store fat soluble toxins? Where does, do you know that, I don't know if you caught in one of my episodes, that toxic metals are especially absorbed well with fat, which means that they're probably stored pretty well with fat. If things are absorbed well with fat, they probably store well with fat. What causes a lot of degenerative changes in brains? Oh, I don't know, like copper toxicity, manganese toxicity, lead, cadmium, mercury, all these things we consider kind of toxic metals accumulate in the brain. So I would not eat the brain of any animal personally. Eating it for omega-3s, well, the thing about omega-3s is, so when we look at the results that people get on our program, and we do not take any extra omega-3s, or we don't even really have to talk about omega-6s as a problem. We're just like, eat the fat that's in foods that are on the list, and add minimal as practical and necessary fats or oils. So if you don't have to add them, don't add them. And then, like last night, I had some chicken and rice with MSG, and it was chicken breast, so there was hardly any fat to it. So there was basically no fat per se in my dinner, maybe 1 gram of fat between the chicken and the rice. Now, I'm not saying I eat that all the time, but like, am I showing omega-3 deficiency symptoms? If we're fixing people's brain fog and skin issues and all these things that people claim you need omega-3s to do, but yet we're not emphasizing omega-3s or trying to eat omega-3s purposely, what are we fixing? Now, the thing you want to remember is your body can make omega-3s from other fatty acids. What if by becoming less toxic, your body is better able to make the PUFAs, the omega-3s that it wants to have around? And it's better able to get rid of the ones that it doesn't want to have around. So then we start seeing the benefits that people attribute to, like, let me give you another example. We see the benefits that people attribute to taking tons of omega-3s, but yet we're not taking omega-3s. So like an example would be, okay, zinc is necessary to help detox vitamin A, and zinc is also necessary to help detox copper, to protect you from and to detox both those things. Okay. Are there benefits to taking zinc in the scientific literature? Yes, there are tons of them. Okay. And they often look similar to the same benefits that we see in people as they reduce their vitamin A intake and they get less vitamin A toxic, and as they get less copper toxic. So I want you to understand, does it make sense that if you don't take in the toxins that use up the good nutrient like zinc, then you can effectively get more zinc, have more zinc in your system without having to take more? And also, on the other hand, could somebody supplement with zinc and use that to hammer down the vitamin A and the copper and see similar benefits from either direction? Yes. So could somebody shove down tons of high fat, high oil, oily fish and push in, or deer brain, and push in tons of omega-3s and see benefits from it? Sure. Are they fixing any root cause by doing that? No. What if we do our detox and our nutrient restoration approaches, and then the body is able to better make its own omega-3s as it chooses to, so it's going to make the right amount, in theory, better than shoving them in from outside, and we get the same benefits, except now our approach has basically removed the root cause. And when people stop taking all their massive doses of omega-3, whether it's food-based or whether it's supplement-based, their problems come back because they were never dealt with. So that's my take on that. I'm not going to eat deer brain anytime soon. I'm not going to suggest anybody eats animal brains. If your buddy wants to do it, I saw this video the other day of this huge dog. I think they named the dog Panther, and they were showing this dog Panther getting fed, and it was eating like chicken wings and duck feet and chicken breast and all this stuff. And of course, the guy put in a chunk of liver. And I was just like, oh, the dog looks really healthy, and it's probably getting lots of good stuff. But boy, that liver is gonna catch up at some point. The poison always wins. So who knows? Anyway, so let's go to this quick question. Tim Rayner says, wait, I skipped it. Hold on, I'm going back up to the top. So remember, again, that was a super chat I went. Now I'm going back up to the top to start with questions. So if you have a question you want, just super chat it and you can get it. Tim Rayner says, hey, Dr. Smith, I take Steroid for my hair loss. Nothing you say will get me off of it. I would like to know how bad I'm shooting myself in the foot. Can I minimize the negatives with your approach? Let me find just so happens that there we are. So Joe, you can share this. So this I actually have a the hair regenesis blueprint is the hair restoration program that I have used. So if you wanted to know how to do stuff that is in line with what we do, that's in line with the love your liver type approach, but this is way too much to just add to the program. Like this is a totally separate interest. Yes, ladies, if you want to join, you can. The information is mainly geared towards men because that's me. I'm a man and I have short hair. So I did not focus on how to adjust things for women's long hair or curly hair or all the different hairstyles that can happen. So can women join this? Yes. Are we catering to long hair? Not at all. I don't know anything about having long hair. I never had it. So this is the hair program. So if you wanted to, the thing about, so I just wanted to, I'll put the link in the chat, and Joe, you can copy the link to what we have. Here, let me go. Let me do this, and let me get the link. Hold on. Oh, message from Joe. Oh, you got the, oh, here, Joe, let me send it to you. No, let me send you the link to join the, if you want to post that in the chat, and now also in the pinned comment later. So anyway, that's the hair program. So now let me get to your questions. Let me get to your specific questions. Due to steroid, whatever it's doing, I mean, it is affecting your hormone balance. That's its design. It is a pharmaceutical medication, which almost by definition means it is a toxin that you are taking to force your body to do something that it either can't do on its own or it doesn't want to do on its own. Now, I'm not placing any judgment on that. I'm saying that is what it's doing. Kind of like all these guys taking all these nitric oxide things to help their blood flow. Well, the research shows that long-term stimulating nitric oxide all the time helps peripherally on the outside stuff, like in your heart and in your arms and your legs and blood flow other places. However, long-term it does negative stuff to your liver. So there is no such thing as a free lunch. So if you're taking something that is meant to block DHT or reduce the production of DHT, it is going to affect your hormonal status. And DHT is thought to be one of the biggest contributors to what we call masculinity and masculine qualities and masculine appearance and all of that stuff. So being that the bad guys, they really love androgyny and men looking more like men, appearing more like women, and women appearing more like men. If they were giving men a drug that made them less masculine, that's kind of what they would love to do. Just a thought on that. Can we undo all the damage? See, the problem is it'd be like if somebody said, can I add a bunch of, they're like, I love adding a crazy amount of salt to my food. Okay. Like, can I add a ton of salt to my food and have it not hurt me? What can I do to prevent that? I'd be like, okay, so you need to balance out your other minerals. So then that would involve, like, to balance out everything, you'd probably, the person would probably have to take a ton of potassium and then probably add some extra magnesium in there. And then they'd have to drink more water, or else they'd be like hyper concentrated and their blood would be like salt, super salty. So then all of a sudden they're now, because they want to salt their food like crazy with sodium, they now have to add tons more potassium. They have to add some more magnesium. They have to drink a ton more water, all when they could have just reduced their sodium intake. So like I said, I'm not going to try to convince you to stop it. I'm just letting you know that one of the sayings we have is that the poison always wins. No one can, if you start taking activated charcoal or zeolite and you take it too close to this medicine, it will soak up the medicine because these things adsorb toxins. That's why you can't take binders by pharmaceutical medications, because pharmaceutical medications by definition are toxic and the binders will grab them. So all of a sudden, if you start seeing that you're trying to undo the damage of a pharmaceutical, if you want the benefit of the pharmaceutical, you kind of have to deal with the negatives, or else then you get the negatives and then they start giving you other meds. They give you other poisons to suppress a side effect. And then that gives you new side effects, and you got to take a new medicine to suppress the side effects. So you can do the good things that we do, but I can't say that it's going to undo I won't say that it's going to undo the damage that the pharmaceutical causes, because that's the saying, the poison always wins. We can't, we simply can't undo it. Undo it all. So yeah, that's the reality of it. So let's see. So Tim, you're saying you don't want to risk losing your hair, so you're taking it before you even have hair issues? And then the other thing about those medications is, if they help, you have to take them forever to keep whatever they kept on your head. If you ever stop taking them, any of the benefits will likely go away, which means that they didn't fix anything about the root cause. The root cause was still going on underneath it. And that's just the way it is. So if you got into the hair regenesis program, the hair regenesis blueprint program, and you started working on those things, and then you got to the point where you felt like, I mean, who knows, maybe the side effects got to the point where you're like, oh my God, I have to get off of this. And you were already doing the stuff in the hair regenesis blueprint, which is all healthy stuff for you and your hair and your scalp. That would be good. I am going to say I need to add, for those of you who have heard me talk about the Reviv mouthguard, Ken, the guy who created it, and I are likely going to do a show together very soon talking about it. It's getrevive.com. I'll have an affiliate code soon, but I don't have one yet. I think that the potential for the Reviv mouthguard to help minimize or reduce, or even minimize or reduce hair loss, or even help with some hair regrowth is, I think the potential is there. I'm not claiming anything. I just think it helps. I'm going to get the testimonial for the Reviv episode, but somebody else told me that we were talking about on one of the toxic bile paradigm episodes, in the comments, they were saying that they had eye improvements, vision improvements, and they were less stuffy and snotty, and their histamine issues had gotten way better. And I was saying that I can't even find my floaters anymore. And on a normal basis, I know today I'm a little snotty because of the space weather, but on a normal basis, I am so much less snotty and phlegmy and detoxing through my sinuses than I was before. So we had similar improvements that we both attributed to the Reviv mouthguard, which makes sense, because if the Reviv mouthguard is helping your skull shape and biomechanics and how it all fits together, then two things that are completely dependent on going through your skull is your eye, your visual system, and your sinuses. So it was very interesting that these things happened together for two people. I am absolutely, in a positive way, addicted to my R1 mouthguard. I go to the gym, and if I forget it and I went to the gym, I'm a little upset. I'm a little disappointed that I forgot it, because I really like to work. When I work out, I really like to have it in. And then I wear it all night. And I just have this innate feeling that it is helping in multiple ways. And one of the things we know is that I'll go over the research on this in the Ken episode, if we do the Reviv episode, but we know vitamin A toxicity literally changes the shape of the skull. And I found research on copper toxicity, literally changing the shape of the skull. And I've got research on copper issues like excessive copper or high copper to zinc ratios with sleep apnea, which is something else the Reviv mouthguard, because it kind of moves your lower jaw a bit forward, can help with breathing at night. So if we have multiple toxins that change the shape of the skull, well, if you change the shape of the skull, one of the, there's a paper out there, Tim, if you want to look it up, called Big Head with a question mark, Bald Head with an exclamation point. So if you go on PubMed and you type in just big head, bald head, you'll probably find this paper. And they talk about how when you look at guys who are balding, they tend to have kind of big craniums, which stretches out the tissue on the scalp, which then causes fibrosis and scarring because the scalp has to adjust to being stretched out, and it doesn't like that, so it becomes tougher. And this is what chokes off the hair in the common patterns of male pattern baldness. And we work specifically on those mechanisms in the hair regenesis blueprint. And now we have a way of potentially relieving stress on the skull by getting better biomechanics via the Reviv mouthguard. And the skull is doing this on its own. What I'm getting at is when toxicity affects the skull in a certain way, and it causes it to take on, so I mean, orthodontics can mess up your skull, dental work can mess up your skull, like all sorts of things can mess up your skull. Toxicity can mess up your skull. Well, we'll get into the folate thing because somebody asked about leucovorin. Deficiencies can affect your skull. Well, we can fix the toxicities and the deficiencies with what we do. However, once the skull has changed shape, if there is not a way for the muscles to pull, because muscles shape your bones, but if the muscles can't pull in a certain direction to undo the misshapenness, if you want to call it that, or the damage that the toxicity did to your skull, if the muscles can't pull in that direction, then they can't fix the problem. So this is where I think the Reviv mouthguard can be an amazing addition to what we're doing. And I'm going to write an article about it in the Hair Regenesis Blueprint. So consider this a free gift out of there that I think is, I think the R1 is 25, 30, 35 bucks, and it lasts, at least 3 months. And I could feel things changing the very first time I wore it. So I am a believer, and the other people who have started with me are also finding that they're becoming quick believers too. So that's the hair stuff. Okay. But yeah, it's just, you got to decide if you're taking, this is one thing I didn't say. If you're taking a medication to prevent something that hasn't happened yet, this is kind of like when you'd hear about the celebrities who were cutting off, like the female celebrities who were cutting off their breasts so they wouldn't get breast cancer. Or you wear a cast on your leg so you don't break your leg. You're trying to prevent a problem before the problem exists. I don't know if you got your your ID on this from John Bravo, the YouTube guy, because I know he's been taking one of these medications for his entire life. And yes, he does have really great hair. And he says there's no problems, but he's also on testosterone replacement therapy. So I can't say that there's no problems from it. So then all of a sudden that would be, okay, so you take your DHT blocking medication, and then all of a sudden you're now on testosterone replacement therapy. And then all of a sudden later on, you got to get on this other medication. And then, I don't know. The piper will be paid. The toll will be paid at some point. There is no free ride to be on a pharmaceutical medication for the rest of your life. That's what we know. And I can't say that there's any research that tells me how to undo all the damage from it. That's the reality. So you make the choice. The hard choices are up to you. I can just give you my input. Okay. So Stephanie said, I'm so glad you brought up space weather. I've been having issues with energy, depression, and sleep the past few days. Yeah, it's been nasty. Again, let me go over the space weather thing. Maybe I should do a space weather episode sometime, just the basics of what I look for. But if you don't know the apps, there's an app called Space Weather Live. I believe it's with 0 spaces, so it's just all one long word. Space Weather Live. It's a free app. The easiest thing to do to use it, if you don't want to go into reading the app and all that stuff, is to just turn on all the notifications from it. And then whenever you see it, when you start to get used to what the notifications are saying, then you'll just be able to watch it. So all I suggest you do with that is just see. You can always, if you don't want to have the notifications pop up, you can just, if you don't feel good, you can go into the Space Weather Live app and check the Aurora, whatever the auroral tab is. And you look at the KP index, and if it's either below 2 or above, or 4 or above, you want it like 2 to 3. Okay, so 2 to 3 is good. If it's below 2 or above 3, then there could be something affecting you. Like I said, there's been several progressions over especially the last 24 hours, where it's gone 4, 5, like you'll get these notifications in a sequence. It'll go 4, then up to 5, then up to 6, then up to 7, then up to 8. And even the bar, they make the bar turns red. And Kelsey was out last night and she saw lots of auroras. So that's when the KP index gets high and space weather gets nasty, you can see auroras. But low, I'm not going to explain low right now, but low KP is also not a good situation. I think low KP actually affects me more than the high KP does nowadays. So anyway, okay. Sandy Joe says, I've binge listened to almost every episode from the beginning to now. So much good stuff. I've learned so much, and it's already helping my husband and I. Thank you, Dr. Smith. You are very welcome. Beth Martin said, hail MSG is right. And then Cassidy was just pointing out that I did a hair regrowth program. Trina says, wait, so MSG is good for you? Yes, Trina, go check out the 2. If you use the transcript search in the info box of most of the videos, I've forgotten to put it in some of the videos, but if you search for MSG, you can find it. I think Joe also linked the MSG video. Tim says he can't risk the program not working. Finasteride and dutasteride works. Then, yeah, you're going to be, like I said, Tim, I'm not judging. You can do whatever you want. I'm just letting you know that there's no one out there who is researching how to undo the effects of those medications. Because the very risk of trying to undo the effects of the medication may mean we make the medication not work. Because the indication, this is a very important concept, the indication for a medication, so like finasteride and dutasteride and whatever, the indication for those where they say it helps with male pattern hair loss. What that means is that is its most common side effect. The most common side effect is it means it can cause hair regrowth. And there's an entire probably pages of other side effects that it causes. So my thing, I'm going to be blunt here about those medications. And this is being that erectile dysfunction issues and other kind of not so great things that happen to men when their hormones are messed up are very common with those medications. I would hate to have a full head of hair and not be able to function in the bedroom. That's my take on it. So that's the simple thing. I would like, it would be a hell of a thing to try to keep all your hair to try to attract women, but then you can't function with a woman. That would be kind of the ultimate irony of a price to pay for something. So it's all up to you. Like I said. Cassidy says to Tim to look at me as a living, breathing example that it does work. Also, my husband started it for his facial hair and it's working. That's awesome. Tim says, I mean, I'd be happy to try it as a side treatment, but DOOT has been working good for me. Steroid has been working good for me. No sides, but my liver health isn't the best, so it's concerning. So you've already got liver issues, Tim. Like I said, it's up to you. You're only doing one pill a week, which is good. Doing the minimal effective dose is always the best call with any medication or supplement. The minimal effective dose, the MED. So, yeah, and could you combine them? Yes. Okay, JDS says, how do you feel about the leucovorin studies in helping autism? I'm going to tell you that I think that is all a pharmaceutical plot. Let me go over leucovorin, because we offer the Designs for Health super liquid folate in our store. I don't remember if it's only in the VIP store or if it's in the main shop too. Leucovorin is mega high dose calcium folinate, or it's folinic acid bound to a calcium. So when they're bound together, they call it calcium folinate. And that is the preferred form that if people want to take folate, that is what I would use. Like, we sell it. Do I recommend it to everybody? No, because if people are able to eat beans are absolutely the highest source of folate out there in terms of food. So here's the other thing about Merck and methylated B vitamins. So whenever the pharmaceutical industries are really getting into B vitamins, you should start stepping back and going, what is going on here? They don't want to fix people. So Merck is behind all of the methylation science. So if you're into methylation science and you want to say that you have MTHFR and all this other stuff, and you need methylfolate and you need methyl B12 because you have the epigenetics or whatever it is of those issues, Merck has you. Merck gave you that science. Merck makes mega high dose methylated folate and methylated B12, I believe. I know they make the methylated folate. I'm not sure. I don't know if they make methylcobalamin in mega high dose. So anyway, back to the calcium folinate or leucovorin. It is still available as a supplement. However, let's say that calcium folinate was super helpful for autism. Well, let's think about something else here first. I did a whole video on how vitamin A toxicity depletes folate. Tons of research on it. Vitamin A toxicity depletes folate. I'm saying that there's a vitamin A toxicity epidemic. And I do believe that vitamin A toxicity is a huge part of autism. And they're saying that if we give enough folate, these mega doses of folate to kids, it might help with autism. I have a hard time believing it because I'm pretty sure moms of autistic kids would have figured this out by now. So I have a hard time believing it. Just like calcium folate is going to cure autistic kids. So, but let's just say that it really helps autistic kids, and maybe they don't need to take the mega doses that pharma makes it as. Well, once pharma makes calcium folate a drug, all of the supplement versions will get outlawed. So now nobody can buy normal supplemental dose, not mega dose stuff. They can only buy the pharma dose. And so they have trapped that market. They have kicked out the ability of most normal people to buy calcium folate. Why would they call it leucovorin instead of calcium folate? Like, what are they trying to hide from you? Why are they trying to make it a pharmaceutical thing only? Why can't they just tell people, go try some calcium folate or some folinic acid? Why are they pushing pharma? So is it possible it helps? Yes. I kind of went over an example earlier about how, like, let's say if somebody fixes their vitamin A toxicity, can they get away with taking less or eating less folate because the vitamin A toxicity is not depleting their folate? Yes. What is the better thing to do to reduce the toxin than to try to out supplement it? So it's another example of, the poison always wins. Vitamin A toxicity will always deplete the folate. So these kids are going to be on mega doses of folate, of calcium folate forever, without actually ever addressing the root cause, which is a toxicity issue. Everybody should know that autism is toxicity damage at its root. The deficiencies are usually secondary to what the toxicity is doing. And like I just told you, vitamin A toxicity causes a folate deficiency. So that's my take on that. It's like the whole thing where they're trying to get people in the alternative world to go against all supplements, including magnesium and zeolite. They're like, because they have to push these things from the right side. Because imagine if they had mainstream people saying zeolite's bad. Then the alternative community the people who are like, screw the government, say, oh, zeolite must be amazing. But now they have these mainstream alternative controlled op people going, magnesium's bad. They never told you. And yet they post no evidence. Same thing with zeolite. So they have to push the buttons from the right side, or the people they want to believe it will not believe it. Okay. JDS was saying, I started taking 1 milligram folinic acid alongside LYL, and it's feeling like it's helping. Yeah, it can definitely help. I would, JDS, I would look into find out what the minimal effective dose is. Are the drops we use, the super liquid folate, it has a tiny bit of B12 in it, but it's the cleanest calcium folate supplement we can find. Other than that little bit of B12, it's just water and folinic acid and B12. I think maybe there's a little glycerin in it. But it's 400 micrograms a drop. So that's what I choose to use if I was going to use something like that. But I don't feel like as you do the Love Your Liver program longer, you'll probably feel like you don't need it anymore. But if you're in the relatively earlier stages and you're feeling better from it, then that's great. That's fine. Trina B says, do I think you should avoid spaying or neutering your pets? Is it healthier for a human or an animal to stay intact? Probably. Are dog and cat owners going to be responsible and not let their animals go and hump all the other animals in the neighborhood and then make tons of babies that nobody wants and then throws away or does whatever they do with them. It's a question of the animals are effectively, and I love dogs, but the animals are effectively too stupid to not go hump anything they can when they can. So if the owner, not say you, but if the owner is not going to take responsibility for their pet impregnating other animals or getting pregnant by other animals, then they should spay or neuter them. That's my opinion. There's no point to having a bunch of starving, feral dogs and cats running around, because then you're just making more animals suffer. So you could make your animal suffer a little bit, or you could have your animal create tons of other animals that then suffer a lot because nobody wants them and they're just wandering around and eating trash and whatever. So that's that. JDS said, could it be the toxicity impairs folate metabolism, and similar to potassium, you need extra for a while to help correct long-term toxicity? I would just, it definitely gets in the way. I've mentioned that. I have a whole video on the research of vitamin A depleting folate. So I would just go check that out. So yes, it could help for a while. Yes, it could be a Band-Aid or a crutch for a bit while you're detoxing. Let me see. Did Joe ever send me a message? No. Okay. Let's see. Wait. Okay, we got a yay for Ruby, yes, from Joe. Hamza says, can I eat fish? Because I heard that whitefish has the lowest iron content because I need protein. Okay. Hamza, it sounds like you have, some challenges with your diet. We generally don't, I cannot speak to every area of the world and every traditional diet or culture or anything like that. One of the things I've seen with, I'm just going to give examples here. One of the things I've seen with people who don't get along with high red meat diets, yet they eat high red meat, they can have excessive ferritin. And those folks, until they reduce their high red meat intake, often their ferritin won't come down, or they're constantly struggling to try to bring it down. So that's one thing. Some people, especially like what I've seen with, and I'm just going to say it here, Indians from India, they don't eat red meat. And they put, I have a whole video on the Indian diet. Now, I don't know what ethnicity you are, Hamza, so I'm not saying you're Indian. But they don't get enough protein in their diet, and they're putting in tons of toxins, and they don't get enough zinc. And they are often super, super difficult to get better. And then they cook all these spices and herbs in like lots of butter and lots of dairy. And so they absorb all of these like bright yellowish, orangish toxins into their system, including all the vitamin A that's in milk. And they're hardly getting any zinc. And they have the toughest time getting better. They really do. And then they're giving out Accutane like candy in India. So there's a lot of broken people in India from Accutane and their diet. So there's that. Obviously, we just saw what getting glutamate can do for this dog, Ruby. So I would say that if you're having any issues with getting enough protein, and then we saw that other person said they needed less muscle meat when they got enough glutamate. So if anything, if you're having issues getting enough protein and you'd like some more quote unquote protein without adding more iron to your diet, then I would heavily look into I would be very generous with MSG on my foods or as a supplement. That would be the first place to go, because like I said, MSG makes any protein you eat go further, work better. We generally don't do fish or shellfish because it is all too often full of mercury and cadmium. And now that there's the sardine fasting nonsense going on, sardines are full of arsenic. I can't believe the people on the internet who are saying that sardines don't have an arsenic problem. I did a quick search on sardines and arsenic, and I found multiple papers, including case studies of a guy who got neuropathy from eating too many sardines. Arsenic toxicity is an issue with sardines. So if people want to eat 3 tins to 6 tins of sardines a day and then they feel better at the end, even though, Joe Rogan started getting arsenic toxicity symptoms. That was probably why he was at his doctor, and he's testing arsenic in his blood. Anyway, yeah, it's not gonna end well. So careful that sardine fasting. But so think about this. What are people not eating? If people were eating just sardines for a week or a month, what are they not eating a lot of? Vitamin A, copper. Gosh, they feel amazing. Should we be surprised? No. But what might they also be causing at the same time of choosing that diet? Arsenic toxicity, maybe other toxic metal toxicities. So could they see, depending upon how much room they have to store arsenic and how arsenic toxic they were from the start versus how vitamin A toxicity and copper toxic they were at the start, they could feel significantly better for a while until they repeat the sardine fast often enough. And then the arsenic builds up to the point where it spills out. So, but yeah, if you were going to do fish, small white fish would be the choice. I'm not saying that's great. I would also look into poultry, whatever type of birds are worthwhile in your area to get. I would look into poultry, and I personally would try to minimize fish. And if you were ever going to eat fish, I would take charcoal or zeolite with it to soak up all the microplastics and the toxic metals and all that stuff with it. So, yeah. Now, I want to clarify here. Can you eat fish? You can eat whatever you want. Can you get the results that other people are getting if you're doing different things than other people are doing? Probably, maybe not. Probably not. It was actually, it was a very funny thing. There's a guy named Paul Carter, and his website is Lift, Run, Bang, and the number 1.com. And he's really kind of a super simplistic bodybuilder type guy who really gets down to the basics of what science shows is needed for muscles to grow bigger. Like, that's his thing. He's like, what is basically the minimum effective dose of lifting you need to do to grow your muscles bigger? I love his approach. I didn't love his programs because they were too boring for me. They were super boring. They're super effective. They're super boring. That's fine. They can be boring. Nobody said getting bigger had to be like entertaining. But anyway, I bought his programs. And one of the things he said in his programs, that he emphasized this over and over and over in his FAQ. He said, if you're not going to do my program, or if you're going to constantly ask for substitutions or other things you can do, he's like, get out. If you aren't going to do my program, why are you here? And I'm not saying this is the same thing that I'm saying here, Hamza, but I'm saying if you start tweaking the program, then you're making it your program, and it's not my program. And so my results should not be expected to be your results. That is the key here. But it was really humorous reading his FAQ and how emphatic he was on, if you want to do different stuff, go do it somewhere else. Like, you're not doing my program anymore. Why are you here? Why are you paying me money? Don't pay me money to do other stuff. Do my stuff, or don't pay me. So it was very, very refreshing to hear that. It also sounded like a grumpy old man who was tired of answering questions. So anyway, for those of you who are, let's say, I'll just say this about Paul Carter's lift run bang stuff. He's on Instagram at lift run bang and then the number 1. I'm not on Instagram anymore in terms of me surfing it, but I used to watch his stuff a lot. If all you're after is getting bigger muscles with the minimal effort necessary, his stuff is brilliant. It was not for me. I'm actually doing Judd Lienhard stuff now. Lienhard. Judd is Judd. Judd Lienhard. You can find him on Instagram too, or you can find his website. His stuff, I think, is the most athletic stuff I've ever done. So Paul Carter's stuff was very bodybuilding and machines oriented, which bored me to tears, but I could see that it could work. And Judd Lienhard's stuff is the absolute, some of the most athletic stuff I've seen. So I'm super happy that I got it. I'm only 3 training sessions in, but I'm sold. So anyway, those are my weight training fitness stuff updates there. But I thought I'd bring that in because of how Paul Carter said it. If you're not going to do the program, don't do the program. Lunderground said, can one take too much sodium with lots of MSG? Oh, we're over time, huh? I got to wrap this up soon. Well, absolutely, you could take too much sodium with lots of MSG. The idea with MSG is if you're going to, so MSG is, okay, I don't remember the exact numbers. Joe, if you want to look up the numbers on what percent of MSG is sodium and what percent of sodium chloride table salt is sodium, that would be helpful. Okay, I'm pretty sure that if I recall correctly, MSG has about 1/3 of the sodium of table salt. And MSG allows people, there's been quite a bit of research on this. Oh yeah, I have a different mic today, CEW. I'm on my laptop mic. So if it sounds different, yeah, I'm on my laptop mic. The idea with MSG is that MSG is supposed to help you reduce the overall sodium intake in your diet because it boosts the flavor while adding a lot less sodium. So now, could you still overdo your sodium while adding MSG? Sure, you can. You can add too much of everything. Okay, so Joe found, yeah, table salt, 39 to 40. So let's just call it 40% sodium by weight. And MSG is about 12% sodium by weight. So let's just say table salt has about 3 plus times as much sodium gram for gram that table salt has. Did I say that right? There's 3 times as much sodium in table salt as there is in MSG. So what I suggest, for people who get along with MSG, I suggest, hold on, I got to plug in my laptop. I'm running out of juice. For people who get along with MSG, I suggest that you try to there are people out there who only season their food with MSG. I haven't found that to work for me. Like, there's not enough salt taste for me with just MSG. So, what I do, I actually have a literal popcorn shaker of MSG, and I MSG my food first. And if the food already comes with salt in it, then I don't add more salt because I know the MSG kind of boosts the salt flavor. If I'm MSGing a food that doesn't have salt in it already, then I usually just add a little salt. Like I'm actually trying to, when I add the salt, I'm trying to add as little as I need to it because I don't need much. It's amazing how far salt goes when you've got plenty of MSG on it. So those would be the two extremes. One would be MSG only, and you just use the sodium that's in there. And like I said, I have a popcorn salt shaker, so I can put it on faster than just a normal salt shaker. And then I just add a little bit of salt or the 50-50 salt to it. So that's what I got. JDS said, yeah, chicken thigh is pretty low in iron compared to beef. Yes, the way to figure out your iron and your zinc generally from muscle meat, the muscle meats that we use, red meat and poultry, we'll just talk about chicken for now. Okay, if you're talking about a whole piece of meat, not ground beef, because ground beef can have fat mixed in different amounts. A whole chunk of meat, which I know is like crazy expensive right now. The leaner the cut of meat, the more iron and zinc it has. So the fattier the cut of meat, the less iron and zinc it has. Well, with chicken, generally the dark meat is going to have more iron and more zinc. The white meat is going to have less iron and less zinc. So take that information and do with it what you will. Okay, Beth Martins, the real Beth Martins added, I had a total digestive breakdown after a year of breathing Brown's gas, the molecular hydrogen. That's not what they tell you on all the websites, right? So, Luca added, Jack Cruz is a joke. Look at his face. The way he talks seems so antipathetic and arrogant. I came across one of his videos by mistake and immediately stopped watching based solely on his behavior. Yeah. It's crazy that the like cultists that push Jack Cruz's stuff, and they'll go and they'll ask other people to post physique. And it's like, have you even looked at your leader? He's got like the bulbous cherry nose of someone who abuses a certain liquid. Like I'm sure there's lots of wine flowing around that house. And I've heard that his $1,000 consult is really just going to tell you for an hour that where you live sucks and you need to move to the equator. That's what I've heard. $1,000 consult to tell you need to move by the equator. Okay. Oh, Cassidy said, yes, I have 2 LYL babies and my copper was 130 during her 3rd trimester. So see, 3rd trimester, it's almost over. And her copper was 130. So yeah, that we see copper go crazy. Ladies, if you felt or feel terrible during your pregnancies, you were toxic. Generally, those ladies are going to also have trouble with their periods because, you know, the same issue is happening with the hormonal surge of a period, of a cycle, and they're similar. I'm just saying they're similar. It overloads the liver. The hormone surge of menstruating and the hormone surge of pregnancy, obviously the pregnancy one goes a lot longer, but that overloads the liver, and then you get cholestasis and toxic bile leakage. And then we see the numbers in the blood go up. Okay. Hamza said, should we be made aware of salmonella and campylobacter and E. coli in chicken in these days? I don't worry about it. I mean, I don't eat raw chicken anymore. I did the primal diet for a short period, and I would, back in med school days when I was doing the primal diet, and I helped host a raw milk co-op. Those were the days. But I would cut up raw organic chicken and I would soak it. I would basically make a version of ceviche with chicken. So it was lemon juice and fresh pressed garlic mixed in a ball jar. I would keep that in the fridge for 2 or 3 days, so the chicken would kind of quote unquote chemically cook. And I knew that the garlic and the lemon juice were probably going to kill whatever might be on it. And then I'd be eating this sort of chemically cooked raw chicken at naturopathic medical school clinic. People still talk about me to this day. They're like, "Are you still eating raw meat?" And I'm like, "No." I did for a while, but yeah. I never got sick from it. Maybe I was lucky. Maybe I just have really good. Okay, folks, the easier it is to get food poisoning for somebody, it means the less stomach acid they have. Part of the reason for stomach acid is to break down the bad bacteria on bad food, which is why dogs have crazy stomach acid compared to us. And that's why dogs can eat foods that we could never tolerate. Tim added again, "No, I have some hair loss. I take it once a week, though. I was thinking taking better care of my liver might minimize liver damage long term." That is true. I'm sure there will be some sides, but hoping it's not bad. Yeah. Intuitive IFS therapy says, "Has anyone rinsed their sinuses with..." Said it. Joe, mark the time, please. Okay, folks. Every time you post a question about the borine trioxide or the 3-letter terms that shall not be named, if you get me to say them, I have to take the video down and edit it and then put it back up under videos, because this channel will not have me even talking about those terms. So, yes, it is my fault that I slipped. Please help me by not posting those terms so I read them, because that causes more work for me. Like, literally, let me tell you what has to happen. I have to wait for this channel. First, it takes them a while to upload and whatever they call it to the video, to process it. And if I don't take the video down soon enough after they process it and delete it from this channel, they will scan it, they will find the magical words, and they will give me a strike. Okay? So if you are a fan of this channel, you should know that I talk about those things mainly in the Inside the Love Your Liver program, if I talk about them at all. There is a Telegram group called the Universal Antidote, where you can get information on these topics from people who are much more knowledgeable and experienced with it than we are. Don't expect them to have any idea about what we do in the Love Your Liver program. They're depending on increasing oxidation as their cure to health, while they eat tons of high antioxidant foods often, or they just don't understand the basis of their issues and why they have to push oxidation so hard. So there's also let me just double check his name. There it is. Okay, Joe, I'm going to share my screen. Now, I'm not going to say anything about what's on this page, but this is another place where you can find information on borine trioxide and the 3-letter terms that shall not be named. Okay. He has, there's all sorts of approaches. There may be a little bit of Q belief going on here. Nobody said that people who know how to help people with their health know anything about other things. So anyway, there's lots of places in this where you can find out how to use things. He has, I see his Substack all the time, and he's always got things to help people out. So there's that. Joe, you can take that down. There we go. I got to wrap this up. Where was I? Let me see. I'm just looking to see if there's. Oh, there was a super chat. Okay, so there it is. Sergio Hormoni. Is it Homoni? This is the last. Hold on. JDS said Jack Cruz is everything wrong with the boomer generation. That's just funny. I'm sorry. That's funny. Actually, let me hit on one more question before I get to you, Sergio. Oh, well, this is a Sergio comment. So, or wait, no, there's two. Sergio said, I did a lot of MSG and it gave me stomach aches. I'm the type that more is better, and I went crazy with it. Yeah, so don't go too crazy. Danny asked, any advice on keratosis pilaris? I had Accutane poison. Unfortunately, I regret it and got way worse. Damn poison. Yes. Keratosis pilaris is distinctively a symptom of vitamin A toxicity. Everything you read on the internet will say it's vitamin A deficiency. All the people we've had who got over keratosis pilaris were on a low vitamin A diet. Mine went away. I had it. It's gone. So, yeah. Okay, so then intuitive IFS therapy, it's okay. Don't worry about it. It's a thing. It's my fault for saying it. I should have read it and caught it and not said it. So I take full responsibility. That's why I was asking in the future for just, it helps me out so I don't have to be as on guard. Okay, so back to Sergio's question. My mother has a cyst in the uterus. Please help. Okay. Well, Sergio, I have news. Yes. Thank you, Aiden. Yes, I did say it twice. Yes. This is generally going to be, we have had, I don't know if anybody listening today has been, ladies, even guys, if you've had cysts and they have gone away on the program, then that's what we're talking about. Cysts are generally markers of toxicity. Oh, thank you for the super chat, Sergio. I forgot to say that. They are generally markers of toxicity, and as we get people less toxic, they go away. We have had women who have had cysts of different areas on their reproductive system go away by imaging. No.
Oh, he's back.
I should be back. You're back.
Welcome back.
Thanks.
You're on there. Good.
Okay. Sorry, everybody. The Ethernet cable here doesn't have the clip, so it just decided to fall out at 1 second.
Oh man.
Yeah. We'll edit this little snafu out, I think, since we're going to edit it anyway. But yeah, let me find the chat again, and we'll just wrap up Sergio's chat. Come on, computer, you can do it. Okay. Okay, Sergio is saying you gave her all the supplements I recommend and what not to eat. Doctors can't do anything for her. I need to help her. This is actually, I'm going to say this carefully, Sergio. I would suggest that you look into the very topic that we were talking about earlier, the 3-letter things that we shall not name, aka the borine trioxide. So you could look into that David Oates page or the Universal Antidote group and see what other people have done. You just need to know this is a very important thing for anyone who is going to go down the borine trioxide approach. If you're doing love your liver stuff, okay, everybody else who doesn't know to do what we do, they need more of it than we do to get the same effect, because a lot of it gets used up on all the other toxic things they're taking in. We don't need as much because we took out all those things that kind of fight against it. Okay? So whatever you read online in those groups about dosing, realize that, first of all, you should go up slowly. And second of all, you should know that you or your people will likely not need as much. Okay? So, yeah. And then, Sergio, there is an article, a special article in the Love Your Liver program about women's hormonal issues, like, menstrual issues, pregnancy, menopause, that kind of stuff. They're all related to the same toxicities and stuff, but there's some extra things that you could look into in there that might help. Some extra supplements that we don't always talk about or recommend that can help with the copper toxicity especially. So that's what I got. But yeah, it's basically the Love Your Liver program. And then if you want to add the borine trioxide, then that would be the next step. And then if you want to work in some of the other things that are in that special article on women's health issues that's in the Love Your Liver program, that would be where to start. Yes. Oh, Hamza's from Morocco. Okay, great. That's what I got, folks. I got to get to my inner circle group now. And I gotta take down this video once it's processed. So yeah, the video won't be up right away. So if you guys see other people asking where it is, if you can let them know. And otherwise, I'll edit out the part where I lost my connection and where I said the 3-letter term that shall not be named. So anyway, hope you all enjoyed it. Sorry my mic was not as good as usual. Next time, Joe, remind me to use my better lapel mic, and we'll fix that problem. We thought it was going to be good enough today to do the laptop mic, but it's apparently not. So thank you for letting us know, folks. And we will see you all next time. Oh, the links. Yeah, Joe, I got to do the links. So nutritiondetective.com. Sorry, I'm just not out of sorts because I'm not my normal thing today. Yeah, nutritiondetective.com is our main website. That's where you can find basically everything. The Love Your Liver program that we talked about during the show, that is the LYL, and it is the private network. If you want to go directly to it, you can go to members.nutritiondetective.com. If you're on the main website, you can look to the membership tab, and that will take you to the landing page for the Love Your Liver program. Next, we have my Instagram, the.realnutritiondetective. We're going to be posting a lot more there soon. We're very hard at work at getting the new website all ready, and you're going to start seeing that come out on our channel soon. Actually, I forgot to mention this earlier. we will soon be shipping out. We have new labels on the lactoferrin for our rebrand. So the lactoferrin bottles will have our new logo and our new label on it. So those of you who are ordering soon will be able to see that first. So there's that. Let's keep going, Joe. Scheduling a consultation. This is if you want to work with one of our health facilitators, Nathan or Kelsey. This is where you can sign up. You get the hair test, you get the blood test, you get the consult, and you get the 6 months of the office hours. We'll probably be changing the name of the office hours soon because I've grown tired of that term for it. So we'll likely be changing that soon, but it'll still stay the same for now. But yeah, we're going to change what we call it. Okay, let's go. We got Substack. This is my Substack. I keep getting a trickle of new subscribers from I think from these videos. So if you want to follow me there, there's that. There's also David Oates. He was the boring trioxide guy that we talked about today. If you want to follow him too, or see stuff that they have on those protocols. I don't know how much he knows about anything else. I just know he does a lot of that stuff. This is my GLASP. So this is whenever you see me highlighting studies in videos, all those highlights are saved here at that link, and you can just search them. So if you go to that link, you can search all the papers that I've highlighted, actually probably all the websites that I've highlighted, whether they're research studies or not, and see. So you just use keywords and you can find things that I've highlighted that say that. Okay. This is Love Your Liver live stream. Finally, we're back on the live streams, number 234. We did a lot of subscriber Q&A. We did lots of testimonials. I think that might be the highest number of testimonials I've done in the show. So hope you all enjoyed it. Experiment with I'd say experiment with MSG for yourself and maybe your pets, and watch the rest of our videos and help your health get better in this new year. So I'm Dr. Garrett Smith. Thank you for joining me, and Joe. Thanks for Joe for holding it down while my internet was gone. And we'll see you all next week. Okay, bye now.